I'm excited but also really nervous about this part because essentially if I did it right, they will puff up and have cute little feet. And if I did it wrong, then I get to cry. Hello and welcome, or welcome back. Let's get right into it. The world right now, and for some time, has been rather bleak. As a millennial, I have lived through far too many life-altering and somewhat traumatizing events, and this past couple of weeks has been no exception. In light of all that, I need a little cheering up. I need a glimmer. I need to dissociate for longer than usual. So I am going to be distracting myself in the kitchen. One of my favorite things to do is to bake or to just make something that is frivolous and unnecessary but fun. Currently, it is fall. We are going into winter, and for most folks, that means pulling out the Christmas tree from the attic. It means stringing up lights, getting out all of your cute mugs, in general, just preparing for the holiday season in whatever way that you like to. If, like me, you grew up in a Spanish-speaking household, then you're probably familiar with some of the flavors of our culture that tend to make their appearance around the colder months. Dishes like tamales, menudo, pozole, champurrado, atole, arroz con leche, and one of my personal favorites that just has that special in the colder months, pan dulce and a little cafecito. Now, I love many different types of sweetbread, but I tend to gravitate towards the well-beloved concha and the also pretty popular maranito. I believe some other people call them puerquitos or cochinitos, but in my house we call them maranitos. And they're basically just a cute little pig-shaped cookie type biscuit that is soft and has a strong molasses gingerbread type flavor. So the most logical conclusion that you might draw from those statements is that I'm going to attempt to make my own pan dulce. Unless of course you've read the thumbnail, in which case you know that's not what I'm doing. But what I would like to do instead is to attempt another sweet that I have never made before, and that is the macaron. I have always wanted to try to make macarons. I think that they are beautiful and unique, and I thought, why not marry two cultures together and combine the two? So I'm going to make pan dulce inspired macarons, or I'm going to attempt to. I would like them to both resemble pan dulce and call back to the flavors of both the concha and the maranito. While I can't promise that this will be a completely successful endeavor, I promise that by the end of it, I'll have something edible, more than likely, and we'll have gone on this journey together. So if you'd like to do that, let's go to the planning board. I don't actually have a planning board, but I'll put a little illustration on the screen for you. Step 1 of my plan for resurrecting Betty White and instating her into the White House. Frick, wrong voiceover. So for macarons, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a guide. Step 2, we're going to gather up all of our ingredients. Step 3, we're going to make cute things. And finally, once they're completed, I will hopefully allow what could only be described as a rush of serotonin to enter my body and help me feel something. Okay, I'm finally ready to get started. What I went ahead and did was I drew up a cute little maranito on my iPad, and then I made a bunch of him into this little guide that I'm going to use to just make sure that my shapes are somewhat uniform. And then I printed off like a normal shaped macaron guide. I've got all my stuff laid out, so I don't exactly know what I'm doing. There is no recipe for the exact thing that I'm doing. So I have like some very specific ingredients over here that I'm using to try to make these taste a little bit closer to Pan Dulce flavors. I have molasses and a piloncillo to put into the maranitos, and then I have cinnamon and clove for that as well. The concha, it doesn't really have like a distinguishable flavor that makes it different from like any other type of sweetbread. It's more so like the texture and the consistency of the bread that makes it special, and I can't really emulate that in a macaron. So what I'm going to do is, for that one, I'm just going to make my favorite flavor of concha, which is chocolate. So I'm gonna make it sort of lightly chocolate flavored, and then I will do like a little design on top, probably with some royal icing to make it look like the shell. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to weigh out and sift my ingredients. I'm going to start with the maranitos. I have like this basic macaron recipe pulled up, and I'm just going to like alter it as I see fit. So the first thing I need is 100 grams of almond flour. Next, I'm sifting in some powdered sugar. And then I'll just sift in the spices. So traditionally, maranitos have cinnamon and clove. I'm gonna add a little more than I probably should. I'm also going to sift in 1 to 2 teaspoons of cocoa powder because I don't have anything like brown food dye, and since I want that brown color, I'm gonna have to improvise. Oh, I just got that everywhere. All right, now we're going to make our meringue, which is just egg whites and sugar. And I'm going to try to save the yolks so that I can make like lemon curd or something at some point. And we need 110 grams. And you have to be really careful when you make meringue not to get any of the yolk in there, because even like 1 drop of yolk could tear a hole in space-time. Broke the shell weird, so now we're resorting to some rather sus methods of getting yolks. Just like drain a little of your life. No. In case you're wondering, I do very much enjoy being in the kitchen, but most people who know me will know that I'm an actual disaster in the kitchen. So there's so much egg yolk everywhere, it's not even funny. It's actually just gross. So I'm gonna start whipping these whites and clean up this mess and add the sugar, and then we'll have some meringue. So. Okay, the meringue looks like it's ready, so now it's time for the most important part, according to everything I read, and I'm really scared, but let's do it. This part is basically referred to as the macaronage, and really that's just a fancy word for we're gonna fold all the ingredients together for a relatively long time. From what I read, you're basically supposed to do this until you can sort of trace a figure 8 with the batter before it breaks.
Wow.
Yeah, that just looks like a blob. I don't know if we're gonna quite get the shape here that I'm looking for. Even if we only get a couple cute ones, that's fine. They're spreading really badly. They don't look like any pig I've ever seen. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. They look kind of more like the state of Washington. So I just had a rather unfortunate realization. If I wanted these little piggies to be sandwiches, that means I should have mirrored half of them, and I didn't. So they're gonna have their bottoms being their tops on the back side. I mean, it's fine. They're still gonna taste good. It's just that they're gonna look a little weird. But I mean, we knew something was gonna go wrong. It's kind of my trademark at this point. So So it's the next day and I'm ready to finish up these macarons. I put them in the fridge overnight and they look the same, so I think they're good. I'm going to make some royal icing and then pipe the little shell design that I was talking about, that is kind of the signature concha design, onto the little chocolate ones. So I'm going to take an egg white and whip it up with some powdered sugar and lemon and water, I think is what it said, and hopefully get a good enough consistency to pipe that design onto it. So I'm gonna split that up into 2 little containers and then dye them. Okay, we're all done and I'm ready to taste test them. I'm going to try my screw ups because I can't bring myself to eat the really cute ones yet. So I'm gonna try the chocolate one first. They're so chewy and extremely sweet. Okay, now for the maranito. Okay, so I definitely prefer the maranito. I really like the sort of gingerbread and molasses flavors together. I do think that maybe it would be a little bit better if I could get that molasses flavor into the cookie itself, but it's pretty good. Not like a spot on maranito flavor, but pretty close. The chocolate one is also good. It kind of just tastes like a chocolate cupcake. I'm not sure that I would say that they 100% capture the flavors of pan dulce because they are not bread, they're cookies made out of egg whites, and there's not even a smidgen of regular flour in them, but they do look like them, and they of course draw inspiration from them. So I think that's good enough, and I'm gonna call this one a success. It was kind of dicey there for a little bit. I think if I could do it all over again, I might watch a few more tutorials, but overall, I think for my very first attempt at macarons, they're pretty good. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. And, you know, yeah. No, that's enough yapping. How do I turn this off? I have egg all over my fingers. That didn't work. Okay, so, oh shit, I didn't tear my scale.